Hello guys, and welcome back to our channel. Now today we'll come you to a powerful and thought-provoking discussion that sheds light on a harsh reality. In this video, my fellow Black brothers and sisters share their candid perspectives on the state of our society, drawing stark parallels between the past and the present. Now they argue that despite the abolition of traditional slavery, its essence persists, manifesting in subtle yet insidious ways. The notion that we've progressed beyond the shackles of oppression is challenged as they contend that modern-day slavery has merely evolved. Now, in this video, we'll take a look into the ways in which systemic inequality, economic exploitation, and social manipulation continue to entrap marginalized communities. We will examine how the illusion of freedom and prosperity conceals the harsh truth that many are forced to toil relentlessly merely to survive. As we listen to what our fellow brothers and sisters have to say, I want us to ask ourselves this question. Have we truly broken free from the shackles of oppression, or have we simply been coerced into a more sophisticated form of servitude? With that said, let's take a look at these videos. I will be right back.
Despite the fact that my people aren't getting eaten, beaten, and tortured anymore, slavery has never ended. They've just gotten us to a point to where we turn on ourselves so we do the heavy lifting and they don't have to. I want you to understand that the best way to hide something is to put it in plain sight. Let's do a mini history lesson for a second. Slavery ended in 1865, which is when black codes were designed. Black codes were laws specifically designed to govern black people. But we free though, y'all, but we free though. We just don't have the right to own any land, own any properties, or conduct any businesses. So when those laws came to an end, I'll say the early 70s, that's when the Jim Crow laws came into place, which were to segregate the blacks and the whites. We free though, but I don't want to sit by y'all, eat by y'all, work with y'all. I don't even want to breathe the same air that y'all yuck. So when the Jim Crow laws came to an end around the mid-1900s, that's when redlining came into play. That's when I'm finna use all these laws to push y'all into these specific neighborhoods, which we would consider the projects. And in these projects, I'm not finna allow y'all to get a job to where you can afford to go anywhere else. I'm not finna give you no loan to where you can go stay where the nice people stay, because it's in the laws. I can't even give y'all no law. I can't give y'all no, because I'm gonna lose my job if I give y'all any type of loan. You can't get that. I'm gonna beat y'all if you look at me wrong, but no matter what, y'all are free. Slavery ended, just go be happy. So now that y'all have these neighborhoods, I'm going to use structuralism to pollute those neighborhoods. Despite the fact that I'm going to dump to your neighborhood so that you are off, I am going to put food chains in there so that y'all slowly stuff. I'm going to put liquor stores over there. I'm going to put check cashing places in there. Give me all your money. Spend your money and spend it fast. I'm not going to put any good grocery stores over there. I'm just going to put all this in your neighborhoods so that you all selves. Now that I've gotten you all right where I want you, I'm going to use gentrification, because now I'm taking back that neighborhood. I'm going to put all the good stuff over there. I'm going to put the good grocery stores and the yoga places and all this good stuff so that the property tax raises. And now you all can't afford to stay there anymore. Silly. I don't care about the communities that you've made for yourselves. I'm taking this back and now it is mine. So I'm going to give you a lump sum that's not even worth what your house is worth, but you have no choice to move. So now you're going to go where you can afford to go, which is what we would now consider the ghetto. And in these ghettos, I'm going to over police that ghetto neighborhood so that we get higher arrest records. Silly? Like, what do you mean? And please don't get me started on the school to prison pipeline. But enough of our history lesson. Let's talk about today. It's in our music. I'm just going to force all of the women to dress half naked, and I'm going to tell them to talk about how men ain't shit. And for the men, I'm just going to force them to rap about each other and how I need 10 girlfriends. One girlfriend is not enough. It's in our cinema. I'm just going to show you all BDs and BMs. Everybody's cheating and beating on each other. And if I do ever show you a two-parent household, somebody got to be cheating on each other. And please do not get me started on our judicial system, who has so many crooked judges in there who get paid to give our people higher sentences. The cherry on top, I'm going to, if not encourage, but I'm going to enable cops to go mess with our people, plan our people, etc., etc. Why wouldn't I do that? They're not gonna know, silly. But that don't matter though, because y'all is free. Y'all have y'all freedom. Like, y'all can do what y'all want to do. Like, slavery ended, okay, be happy, cool. Instead of physically, where we're like, they're gonna catch on to that, I'm just gonna do it mentally and psychologically. You get what I'm saying? I'm just gonna turn them against each other. I'm gonna their whole belief system on two-parent households, marriage, loyalty, unity, anything like that. Let's squash that. And I'm going to turn them against each other to where they think black on black crime is actually a thing. They're just going to slow and we don't have to do anything.
These elites tricked us back into slavery without us even knowing. The average American is working 2 to 3 jobs to make ends meet, and that's just to make them meet. Not even tying them together, just to make them meet. And if you're not the average American, please keep scrolling because we don't care what you're talking about. Working 2 to 3 jobs ain't no flex. All that represents is going from plantation to plantation. That's all it is. The same people own the same. And we sitting here working, making their pockets fatter and fatter and fatter while they sitting in their billion-dollar mansions touching on kids. But we so distracted at work, we lost track of reality. We don't even know what's going on because all we worried about is trying to feed our children. That explains why over 500,000 children went missing in these past 4 years. Like, what in the actual on here? Working 80 hours a week and still don't got no money left over or enough money to go on vacation or just a woosah. Working 80 hours a week, it don't even be enough to pay 8 bills. Like, what in the actual? I legit hate y'all. I hate any elite celebrities, all y'all. I don't like y'all.
We're living in modern day slavery, y'all. They have us right where they want us. We work all day just to afford the shit we have. Nothing more. And if you take a vacation, you get set so far behind, you playing catch up for the rest of the year. I've been on my job for 6 years, and once we went virtual, oh yeah, it's like every day there's more new that we gotta go through. A lot of us are just living. No fun, just drama and sadness. Working one company for multiple years, that ain't it no more. They don't give a damn about tenured agents no more. Cause as soon as you start figuring things out, that's when they fire you because you done got too smart for them. They want dummies. I had to take a personal leave of absence because the person that I was renting from sold their house. So this means I wasn't going to have internet service for a while. And my job denied my personal leave. How am I supposed to work from home if I don't have internet, let alone a place to lay my head? But you're going to deny me my personal leave due to business needs. Until we stand together, these companies and these organizations are going to keep bullying us. They punked of us, y'all. The rich just keep getting rich, and hell, we ain't got nothing to show for it. There's not even a middle class anymore. Even if you make $20 an hour, you are still struggling in today's time.
So today I woke up a little confused and irritated at the fact that we're still working 8, 10, 12-hour work days, coming home only having 3 or 4 hours with our families, that's kids, spouses, to spend time with each other, get showers, homework done, dinner, just to wake up and do it all over again. And then everyone is looking like, why is everybody so miserable? We're miserable because it's modern day slavery. Like, I should be spending majority of the time with my family, not at work. And then there's the weekend we're choosing between relaxing our body and just taking a break, taking a mental break. Is either that or you're doing more chores, you're doing laundry, you're doing cleaning, you're doing cooking, so that everything runs smooth for the next work week. It's like everything revolves around work. There's no happy medium.
The end of slavery was really the beginning of a whole new system of oppression for black people in the U.S. So after the Civil War ended and the Reconstruction and Rebuilding era began, Southern whites were none too happy that black folks were able to vote, hold office, and own property right alongside them. Local and state governments of the South started passing black codes, a series of laws that dictated where black people could work, where they could live, and whether or not they could vote. This is when the KKK became a thing. In 1877, President Rutherford B. Hayes pulled all federal troops out of the South, ending the protections for newly freed slaves. Southern whites began to reassert their power over blacks politically, economically, and legally. These restrictive laws came to be known as Jim Crow laws, named after a blackface minstrel character from the 1830s, played by white actor Thomas Dartmouth Daddy Rice. The character was created as a mocking depiction of a dim-witted, clumsy, enslaved black man. The Supreme Court case in 1896, called Plessy versus Ferguson, established the separate but equal doctrine that made Jim Crow laws standard practice in the South for decades. It would take another 60 years to get rid of legal segregation, with Brown versus Board of Education in 1954.
So I recently got hired for a job and I had to go through a medical examination. So as I'm going through the medical examination, you know, they're taking my information, taking my social, checking my eyesight, my hearing, my flexibility, all this stuff that comes with doing the medical for work. And as I'm going through this process, the thoughts that are coming up through my mind and how I'm feeling was that I was being processed, that I was a prisoner, and that I was being processed for prison. Those were my thoughts that connected with having a job. And I'm currently trying to work my way through feeling like that about a job. That's all I had to say.
Hey, I know I'm finna ruffle some feathers with this one, but y'all hear me out. Finna make somebody mad. Just because you bought a house, just because you decided to get up and buy a house, that does not impress me. But instead, how you bought the house will impress me way more than just saying that you got a house. All it says to me is, hey, I got a house. This is how my brain works. Somebody say I got a house. They're young, 20, 30, whatever. Now we already know the statistics. 80% of Americans are in debt. You know, majority of people only make 40 grand a year. You know, yada yada yada. We all know the numbers. You buying a house says to me, I just put myself in a position to where I have to keep a job and maintain a job for the next 15 to 30 years of life. Because when you sign up for that mortgage, they're gonna ask if you want a 15 to 30 year mortgage. That's heart-wrenching to me, knowing that they already taken away pensions. Pensions is not gonna be here to help you. Social Security is not gonna be here to help you. All this shit that our parents and grandparents got, they just not gonna be here when we get older. So you got to think a little bit smarter. Why would you take all your money out your account that you've been saving up for years to go buy a house? Which is what you should have did instead, was go get a 2, 3, or 4 unit and got that building and use the rents from that to go purchase your house. So now that's paying for your home instead of you paying for your home out your pocket.
Enslaved people in the United States produce $11 billion worth of goods and services. More than 80% of the enslaved do general maintenance at the prisons. I'm talking cleaning, cooking, repair work, oil changes, you name it. The enslaved earn 13 to 52 cents per hour. With the exception of these 7 Confederate states: Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, South Carolina, Texas. They paid nothing at all. Public officials have said they couldn't even operate without the enslaved. They couldn't take care of facilities, ditches, roads, nothing without the enslaved. More than 75% of the enslaved told researchers if the enslaved can't work or decline to work, they're subject to cruel and unusual punishment, solitary confinement, loss of family visits, and even denial of sentence reductions. And get this, most enslaved are not provided with skills and training for their work that would help them get jobs when they're free. 70% of the enslaved said they didn't receive any formal job training and that they couldn't afford essentials such as soap and phone calls with their wages. And get this, some of the enslaved make furniture, cleaning supplies, uniforms. They do laundry for public hospitals and universities. They also work in call centers for the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles. The Department of Motor Vehicles is using enslaved people in their call centers. They even train this horse right here. The United States government enslaves more people than any other country, and it's perfectly legal thanks to our 13th Amendment.
Now, one of the biggest obstacles to tackling modern slavery is that it's often hiding in plain sight. And to understand how that happens, I want us to take a look at some of the situations that people in forced labor often find themselves in. People get tricked. Many victims of modern slavery are deceived into accepting what sounds like good opportunities at first, but turn out to be lies. Let's consider this example. Like, a young woman was promised a job as a waitress in Europe, but found out once she arrived that there was no job actually, and that her future boss was a pimp, and she was raped, beaten, and forced to work as a prostitute with nowhere to turn to for help. We're talking about issues about isolation, talking about working off a debt. Now, many victims of forced labor are trying to pay off debt, and it's no ordinary debt though, as the victim has no power to negotiate the terms, which can change at the discretion of the lender and be passed down from generation to generation. Now, this is called debt bondage, and it's especially common in Southern Asia. Consider this story from Pakistan about a man who wound up in bonded labor after borrowing the equivalent of $200 from a money lender. Now, after he had paid all but $50 of it back. The moneylender insisted that the loan had actually been $400. Now, the man couldn't prove the moneylender was lying, so he was forced to work for him in a mine in the hope of working off his dirt. Now, this is where we're talking about being promised wages but are never paid. Now, I know irregular or late wages don't always point to modern slavery, but when they're deliberately withheld as a means of forcing workers to accept poor conditions or prevent them from changing jobs, it becomes a sign of forced labor. Working extreme hours but not earning overtime, like living and working in abusive conditions, all these are just examples of modern day slavery. Now, the perspectives offered by my fellow Black brothers and sisters in these videos resonate deeply, echoing the sentiments of countless individuals who feel trapped in a system designed to perpetuate inequality. Like, one of the most striking aspects of these discussions is the eerie parallel between modern day society and the institution of slavery. The fact that many Black people are forced to work multiple jobs just to make ends meet, only to remain mired in poverty, is a reminder that the legacy of slavery persists. Now, according to the Federal Reserve, the median wealth of palm color families in the US is $171,000, where the median wealth of Black families is just $17,600. Now, a report by the Economic Policy Institute found that Black workers are paid 26.7% less than their palm color counterparts. The Sentencing Project reports that Black people are incarcerated at a rate 5.1 times higher than palm color people. Now, these numbers paint a damning picture of systemic inequality, one that perpetuates the notion that Black people are somehow inferior or less deserving of prosperity. The idea that we've progressed beyond the injustices of the past is a myth, because the truth is that we've merely evolved into a more sophisticated form of oppression, one that's masked by the illusion of freedom and equality. Now, slavery is a system under which people are treated as property to be bought and sold or forced to work, and it still exists. Only it's called a job. Perhaps the biggest myth of all is believing that a 9-to-5 job will make you rich. Now, companies require your total dependence. So if you made enough money to retire before dementia kicks in, then they would have nothing to hold over you. They lose. They work diligently to ensure that that never happens. They give you just enough to keep you going, not a penny more. Even if you do everything right, got an executive job and maxed out your EPF out, employer's provident fund, or some called it retirement fund, you'd still be lucky to retire before 60. Now, the corporate ladder is not designed to make you rich. It's designed to keep you indentured. Like, I've seen hard workers, nice guys and 25-year company veterans get laid off. Yet the myth of safety and security in the corporate world prevails. Unless you are in charge, you have extremely limited control over the direction of the company. That means if stocks tank, sales drop, or new leadership comes in, that's it. Time to cut heads. You could be the hardest damn worker in the company, but guess what? That doesn't matter when there's a cheaper method to perform your job functions. If they decide they can save money by automating or downsizing or outsourcing, you can kiss your sole source of income goodbye. Now, a lot of times we have seen some people stick with shitty jobs, shitty companies, and shitty careers for so long. They are bent on the illusion that the promotion fairy will make everything better, as if somehow a 10% pay increase and double the workload will magically make their lives go from awful to awesome overnight. Now, promotions are just another thing for leadership to hold over your head, another treat for you to jump for. If and when you do get promoted, your lifestyle will likely inflate to match or exceed the pay increase. Instead of saving, most people see the additional money as extra and spend every dime they have. Now, as you progress down the traditional path, it's also likely that you take on debt. Kids' mortgages, car loans, and fancy trips will all ensure you have bills coming in for the next century. Guess it's time to start working for that next promotion. Modern day jobs, particularly those in low-wage industries, bear a striking resemblance to the institution of slavery. The parallels are unsettling, yet hidden in plain sight. Like, many jobs pay wages that are insufficient to cover basic needs, forcing workers to toil for hours with minimal compensation. Now, this exploitation of labor is a reminder of the power dynamics at play, where employees are often subject to rigid schedules, micromanaging, and limit control over their work environment. The dependency on employers for survival creates a power dynamic that's eerily reminiscent of slavery. Workers rely on their employers for survival, leaving them with limited autonomy and agency. The notion that hard work alone can guarantee upward mobility is just a myth, because systemic barriers and biases restrict opportunities for advancement, perpetuating a cycle of economic servitude. The illusion of freedom and choice conceals the reality of economic servitude. Like, we're conditioned to believe believe that this is the natural order, that this is simply how it is. But what if we are wrong? What if instead of accepting this status quo, we began to question the very fabric of our economic system? What if we demanded more autonomy, more fairness, more humanity? I don't know what you guys think, but share your thoughts, your contributions as well in the comment section, and let's have a conversation there. Thank you for always watching, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and be part of the commenters squad. Thank you for always watching, and see you in our next video as we bring you another interesting video.